So I just got out of my jiu-jitsu class, and there's experience I had here that actually occurs in the beginning of my first business book that I published called Cake Jerky. And this isn't really about the book per se. It's about uh, something that happened here. I experienced a uh, kind of a this first knee injury I've ever had. Um, Besides the lawnmower accident many years ago, but that's another story. But yeah, I had this knee injury where I pulled something, I did something, and it was the first time I'd ever experienced that before. And I'd always kind of prided myself on having strong knees that seemed pretty bulletproof for the most part. But when I experienced that, I had and still do a physical therapy customer that we were, running ads for, doing some marketing for, coming up with messaging. And we had a strategy for going after those customers. We felt a pretty good understanding of the relationship to the pain and the value proposition that we were putting out there. The stuff that any good brand strategist would put together, right? We had something that was pretty solid, and still to this day, it's like, yeah, that was the right direction. But you can go so much deeper because there are more things at play, and that's what I was concerned about. Is there a way to go deeper? And so, a combination of different experiences, especially this one was kind of the culminating one that took me to that deeper place. Particularly what I was feeling and experiencing, because I reflected on it because we were writing copy, we're doing ads for physical therapy for people with knee injuries and stuff, and I just started to realize, I started to think more about what's going on in those people's lives and how that pain affects them, right? And so for me, my problem wasn't, ow, my knee hurts. Can someone stop making my knee hurt? That wasn't necessarily what the problem was. The problem wasn't like the pain itself. It was when the problem comes into existence, it creates a vacuum. And if that vacuum isn't filled by a solution, it's going to be filled by all kinds of negative things, which is what I was experiencing. And so the thoughts that were going through my head were, I'm broken. My body's broken. I'm broken. I'm not going to be able to do this thing that I've come to love so much anymore. I'm getting older. Is this the beginning of my body just failing and just starting to break? Like I've reached that point in my life where I'm just starting this downward spiral of just being continually broken, right? I finally hit that point in my life. And it was this real, this just continual hum in the background every time you felt the twinge in your leg, every time you had to like sit out and miss out. And it was like a piece of my identity was crumbling away. Those were the effects of the problem, of the actual knee injury. And so, I think when messaging comes across and it's like, oh, you got a hurt knee, let's see what we can do to fix it. There's so many other things going on, right, related to that injury, and maybe a person's age, other factors in their life. So the question is how do you communicate more effectively to people that are experiencing a particular problem, and do it in a way that differentiates you from everybody else? And that's really what I've been on a personal mission with my business to try to discover, to uncover what lies beneath the surface. And that's just one of the elements, because other things happen too. There's what I call the two stories: the lie people tell, and then the truth they hide. And lie sounds like a harsh word. It's not like you're a liar, you're doing anything wrong, but there's a false version of of what's happening that you'll tell people, yeah, I'm doing good, it's fine. It'll go away. We reassure ourselves, and it's kind of a little coping mechanism. But deep inside, I was honestly scared. I was terrified. And those are things I wasn't going to admit out loud. But, if someone came to me and I saw something, it's like, hey, we can help you stop being afraid of your body. We can, and reached out to me in a way that resonated with what I was experiencing. And the only way to get that knowledge is by talking to people. And so we do customer interviews, and we go deep, and we ask people about their experiences, and we formulate questions that pull out those answers. And we also have ways of pulling it from data that we scrape from different places. There's things that we look for. And I built a model based on 6 different layers. And it's kind of a deeper version of a previous model we built, which went in that direction, but the knee injury was really the trigger to take it deeper. And I started doing a lot of introspection, and having built many, many personas and using many different techniques over the years, I crafted something that went after what I wanted to know about the customer. Core conviction. What's their core conviction? What's the felt weight they carry? What is the daily tax they have to pay because that problem exists? The felt weight appears when the core conviction is being violated by the problem. Then you have the mask. What's the performance people put on for others? There's ways that they speak that manifest that the mask is present. And the mask is not something you want to just rip off. You want to honor it because it's what's getting them through the problem. It's what's helping them cope. And so you honor the mask, but you open up the invitation that there's something else you can do. You don't have to live with that, right? There's a solution. So you want to be careful about how you approach the mask, I feel. And then you have the wound. And that's the identity level injury that the problem causes to people. It's not the physical wound. It's like a mental wound. What is that? What does the problem steal from an individual's identity and make them feel less than what they were because the problem exists? You have the 2 stories, the lie they tell, the truth they hide. We cover that. And then there's what I call the pull. And it's it's that kind of dream outcome that draws them like gravity. And yes, it's important to understand what that is, what that looks like for them. We just recently did some of this work for a patient who is a physical therapy patient. This is a different physical therapy patient. And one of the things we learned is that their particular customers, they treated something very specific. There were these really bold patterns with the protocols they use, how they treat it, what they treat. And it was very interesting listening to these people. But across the board, and not just with the interviews, but all the other data we scraped, these people have been suffering with these particular conditions for so long that they didn't believe that a cure was possible. And anyone promising a cure, it sounded too good to be true. So the marketing was aiming way too high. It was putting the value out of reach. But what they wanted, what each of them wanted, was, number one, they just wanted to be believed. They wanted to find someone who would just believe them and stop telling them it was in their head. And number two, if they could just have the right tools to manage it and make life livable. They didn't believe it was ever going to go away. It'd been around too long. But if they just had the right tools and someone that believed them, that's all they wanted. That's the dream. So sometimes the dream outcome isn't just this super magical world where everything is awesome, right? Like the Lego movie. sometimes the dream outcome is just, man, just get me here. If someone just said this, I would believe them. So the dream outcome you're promising has to be believable by your prospects. You can't shoot above their head. Otherwise, yeah, it's not going to hit in the right place. And so that's the trick, right? Is finding the answers to these questions and developing the messaging around them. But the beautiful thing is when you interview people, I mean, when you do this research, you're finding their words. A lot of times we like to craft our words. How do we like to say the value that we deliver? But if you understand how other people talk about the value you deliver, that's where your messaging is right there. So for this one client, the slogan we came up with was, believe your body, we do. And man, like a laser, that's exactly what these people wanted to hear. They wanted someone to tell them, hey, yeah, you should believe your body. And we do too. We believe you. Come here, you will be believed. And we start from there. That's the opening. That's the thing that grabs the attention. That's what opens the conversation and gets people in the door. So anyway, not just that. We came up with so much messaging. We built the whole architecture for this client, as we do with all our clients. That's what we do. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to share today. Just I got out of jiu-jitsu, and I was actually talking to the individual at the front desk about doing some of this research for here, because we had a small class today, and it feels like this place could really use some growth. And so, well, what's missing? Why are we not connecting with people? What's stopping people from coming in? And so, just like I do with many customers, I notice that many business owners, many people, they have no idea what drives their customers to come there. They just do their thing. People walk in, and they don't really have any control over how to get people in the door. You throw money at it, you do advertising, and some of it works, right? But you know what else works? Driving with your parking brake on. Yeah, you pull out your parking brake on, your car will still drive. It just is super sluggish. And if it was the first time you ever hopped into a car and drove the car, you would be like, oh, this is normal. This is fine. But as soon as you drop that parking brake, the whole world changes. And so that's what I like to try to do with businesses. And so we talked about doing some of that research here, because I know why I came here. I know why I started. And there's a lot of history behind it in my head. But there's also principles you can draw from it that you could apply generally. And if you interview enough people and you find patterns in what they're doing, you can develop personas of those individuals and use the language and the words they give you and reflect those words back to those people precisely. Because you may be saying exactly the wrong things to people. You may think, this is what people want to hear. This is why I like my business. This is why I think it's cool. This is what I want to give people and what people want. But is that why they want to come there, right? Why do they want to come? So once you understand what they need, that's when you can look at the value you offer and meet them where they're at. And that's how you get people to listen.